Welcome once again to Octane Mobile Gaming with yours truly, iOctane. I did manage to get the deck, and it took me a bit of gems. So I went into the 500 gem vault, did manage to get the ultra rare after about 2 spin of the 500 gem vault. It's reduced anyway, so I'd spend 1,000 gem if it was at the regular price. So I decided to go 2 turns, so I spent 1,000 gems in the 500 gem vault, and then rather than using my season coins to craft the master collection card, I opted to use my gems. Reason for this is next week I am not sure if the vault's gonna be half price like it has been for the last 2 weeks. So to get the guarantee master collection card on tier 6 when it goes back to its regular price will cost you 11,050 gems or 11,500 gems. Can't remember exactly how much it was, but it's quite cheaper now to craft the master collection card. To get the master collection card on tier 6, it's much cheaper. Everything will cost you around about 7,500 gems. I had 12,000 gems, so I spent quite a bit of gems trying to get the deck, simply because I wanted to showcase the deck this week, and I kind of like the mechanics, and I like the artwork as well. Can't deny that. I'm loving the artwork, especially on the ultimate form. Loving the artwork. Anyway, here's what it is. So I got the master collection card on the guaranteed tier, which is tier 6 of the vault. Spent 2,750 gems for that. I've saved my season coins for next week or the week after, which I think for me it's a great idea. Hopefully my luck changes next week. It won't be as bad as it has been for the past a few weeks now, and I can manage to get something from the vault next week, so it would have paid off to actually save my season coins and spend my 2,750 gems. Anyway, let's get straight into it. So I've got a one pink star copy of the ultimate form, which is great, can't complain. 2 copies of the master collection card, and I've got 1 copy of the ultra rare, which for me is the MVP, simply because it can eventually fill the board with power gems. So it will create 4 power gem freeze plus 1 additional for every 100 arcane killer intensity, which is quite good. The kicker is when dark commander gems are matched, it will increase the total damage dealt by arcane killer by 60% for 1 turn. Now, it's, as I said yesterday, they've made it that you only can get the damage boost when you match commander gems, simply because we haven't had our arcane slayer deck as yet. Dark arcane slayer deck, we haven't gone through that one as yet, and I'm hoping that they're gonna make that one quite powerful. So that's the reason for not being able to use this particular card within a slayer format. This one can only be used in a commander format, so this one can be mixed and matched with any commander deck that's arcane, but it won't be able to transfer over into the slayer format, which I think is a bit of a kick in the teeth, really, because the new cards that they brought out was supposed to be able to make that building much easier. So this card should have been able to be used within a slayer format and the commander format, as long as it's been mixed with arcane killer cards. So that's really a downer for me, really. This card would have been brilliant if we were able to actually use it in a slayer format, but it is what it is, so not gonna complain. Now this one, Circuit Breaker Hillary, is quite different. So this one will increase arcane killer attack for 200% plus an additional 10% for every 20 arcane killer intensity, up to a maximum of 565% for 1 turn. If you have 8 firepower gem 1s or higher on the board, it will increase this by 10 times. Now this one hasn't got a restriction on it. This one can be used in a slayer format, and it can be used in the commander format as long as it's been accompanied by Arcane Killer cards. So this one is useful within Slayer and within Commander. Doesn't really matter what affinity. So it goes across affinities, and it goes across events. So this one is quite good. This one should have been the same, but it is not. But it is what it is. So that's one of the decks that I'm running. I've got 5 Arcane Killer relics on it. 2 are fire, and the reason why I'm using the 2 fire on the right hand side is so those 2 will be activated last, so I can at least get a bit of fire gems on the board, so I can power up Circuit Breaker Illyri on the first turn, which works quite great. This is one of the combination that I'm using. This one, I primarily use this one for the quests. So this one works quite good in the Crusade format. So I'm running 2 of the main card, the 2 Master Collection card, and the Ultimate form. So once you get your intensity up to run about 200, it will produce power gem on 2 turns. When you have 400 intensity, it will produce power gems on 3 turns, which makes it quite good as long as it can get the intensity high enough quickly enough. This is a Slayer deck that's got the killer skill. It's got the affinity bonus as well, but it doesn't have the event bonus. It's one of the outdated, these cards are pretty dated. Comparing to the cards that we're using now, these cards are dated, so they're not going to do quite well in a Slayer event, moreover Commander event. But it is a deck that you could consider to use if you haven't got anything else. It will work. It will work okay, but not brilliantly, and the damage output is not very high. But it is a deck that you could consider to use within the event, depending on what you're looking for and what you've got. If you've got these cards, you don't have to use so much Ultimate form. The only card you realistically need is Transformed Trailblazer, because it's the one that's got the killer skill. The other cards that's on it is just optional. You can choose what cards to use with this particular card to create a deck that can actually work within the event. This deck is obtainable and it's cheap. We've got a 50% discount, so if you've got the gems, you should realistically be able to obtain a copy of the main card from the vault, and you could obtain a second copy from the event as well, from the 5-6 star collection really. This support cards are relatively easy to come by. You get one on the second tier of the vault, and you will get one from the event as well. So that's relatively quite a cheap deck to obtain. You could mix and match those cards that I just showed you, the main card and the support cards. You could use a Master Collection card that can actually generate power gems. So this one will just create 6 Dark Power Gem 4s, and I've got 2 copies of that, so that those 2 cards together will generate about 12 Power Gem 4s. It's got a very high cooldown, so these cards are 3-turn cooldown, while this one is a 6-turn cooldown. So it's a bit slower to actually get your second attack in. It will do relatively good damage, but it will not be very powerful because you only got 3 cards on this combination that's actually your main damage dealer, and your support card will not put out as much damage as your main card or your event card, because it's the event card is an attacker and this one is a warrior, and we all know that warriors, that damage output is not very high, but is a combination that can be used. You can mix and match cards. You don't have to use this Master Collection card. You can use other Master Collection card from past events that will actually generate the power gems that you need to give you a bang for your buck. So we're gonna look at a few of these combinations and see how they actually perform within the event. So first we're gonna look at the deck that I've created for the Crusade. And as I said, you need the intensity to get relatively to 200. 400 is optional. Your health might become an issue, but you've got 1 revive, so you could use that revive just in case your deck dies. So once you've powered up all your cards, what you do is just swap your gems, pop your card, and if needs be, you can activate all your cards and kill the first boss. I'm not too bothered at the moment about intensity, because as I go along and I play against the bosses, my intensity will increase and I will get up to 200 intensity. Next option is just to wait the 3-turn cooldown, and as soon as your battle skills are ready again, you go ahead and you attack the bosses. You'll generate quite a bit of power gem because all the cards on this combination produce power gem. If you haven't got 2 main card, you could use 1 main card, ultra rare, or you could use 1 main card and you could also use your support cards, your support card or cards to fill up the spaces on the board. So you don't realistically have to have the complete deck like I do to actually go through the Crusade. So let's finish this boss off and then we'll go straight into the boss arena. So this one works really well in the Crusade missions. So the eggs. So I have collected quite a few eggs. The bronze egg was the most difficult one to get, but I seem to be getting a lot of bronze egg now, which is not too bad. So these are the eggs, and when you get your eggs and you add your eggs, you get this little warden. And what he does, he heals for 300% of recovery, and he also increases your chance of fighting eggs from the Crusade mission. I think you can probably get several of these wardens. Don't know if they're very good for using in GVG, but it's just something to keep you entertained while you play through the event. So let's have a look at the decks up against. Let's see how it performs against medium boss, guild medium boss. So we're gonna start first with the one that uses Circuit Breaker Hilary. We're gonna use 3 keys because this boss is quite strong, and we're gonna see the amount of damage that we can actually generate using this deck. I haven't been using the deck since I created it, so I'm not sure how strong it is, and I haven't really got much practice in. So as you can see, Circuit Breaker Hilary is powered up, so I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna activate her first, and then I'm gonna activate the rest of the cards to create my power gems. I'm gonna swap my power gems. She isn't powered up as yet, but the damage is 2468, so we actually produce 8 trillion damage. But let's see, as our intensity increases, how much damage we'll be able to output on the next attack when we use Circuit Breaker Hilary. So you want to go ahead and activate your Dark Commander cards, because a Circuit Breaker has got a 6-turn cooldown. So you'll activate all the other cards once before you activate Circuit Breaker Hilary again. She should be ready for the next attack, and then we should see how much damage we can actually output using her this time around. Gonna match our commander gems and we get our boost. And let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8 again. Damage is not that magnificent. I really was expecting a lot more bang for my buck, but is what is. Probably I'm not playing the deck right. So I'll play around with the deck a bit more, see the most efficient way to actually use this combination, and then I'll make a next video showcasing this deck in action. But at the moment I just created the deck, so I'm not really sure how to use it very efficiently, but it is a combination that will generate quite a bit of power. This is the one that I'm using primarily for the quests, so I'm gonna see how this one actually performs, if it outperforms the one with Circuit Break Illyri. So go ahead and we're gonna activate all our cards straight away. So this one is a 3-turn cooldown, and all the cards are powered up at the same time, which makes it very efficient and very easy to play. So let's see the damage output on this one. So around about the same, well, a bit more damage because we've got 5 Dark Commander cards on this deck. So we are outputting a bit more damage with this particular one. However, the damage output is actually capped. It will not increase because there's no way to increase the damage output of the deck. It's actually capped at that, while the one using Circuit Break Illyri isn't really capped at the damage output that we're putting out, simply because your Ultra will create more power gems as the intensity increase, and Circuit Break Illyri will actually increase the damage output as the intensity increases as well. So that one is really a better combination to use rather than this one, because the damage output on that one is not really capped, if you see what I'm saying. So that one is a much better combination than this one. So let's have a look at the next 2 decks and see what they can actually do. So this one is not really gonna do much. I'll show you what it does, but I won't show you on this boss because I think that boss is too strong for it. I'll show you on a less stronger boss, and then you can see what that one is able to do. I'm going to use 3 keys, and damage output will not be spectacular, but it is an option. It is something that you could use, and as I said, as long as you got Transform Trailblazer, you should be able to mix and match other cards into the mix and create a deck that can actually help you to compete fairly okay within the event. And let's see the damage output on this one. It's okay. Highest damage output is 203, plus you've got the nuke damage on Bio Blitz. So total damage was 1.9 trillion, almost 2 trillion. It was in 3 keys, which is not too bad. Not too bad. Relatively okay. So let's have a look at the one that is obtainable. It's cheap and it's accessible. We're going to use 3 keys for this one, and let's see if this one performs much better than the one with Transform Trailblazer, which is a Slayer deck. And for a Slayer deck to put out almost 2 trillion damage within a commander event is not too bad, you must admit. Plus the cards on that particular deck is quite dated. So we're going to activate from right to left using our 2 main cards first, and then we're gonna use our support cards just to fill out the spaces. And the damage output is not as high as Transform Trailblazers, but there is not as much power gems on the board using this combination as there is with Transform Trailblazer. Transform Trailblazer, that deck has got only cards that produce, I've got all cards that produces power gems. This hasn't got a lot of power gems, a power gem production on it. So what you could do with this one, as I said, you could add cards that are going to produce a bit more power gems in the mix. So let's look at it with 2 cards that will produce a bit more power gems, and let's see if our damage output is actually increased. It should be increased because we've increased our power gem production. Again, activate your cards that produce power gems, and then you fill out the space with your support card, which produces 8 dart gems. Let's see the damage output. Far better damage output, as you can see. Both my main cards, both my event cards, or main cards, whichever you want to call it, are actually generating over 200 billion damage, which is relatively okay. Now we'll have to wait a 6-turn cooldown for the next 2 cards that's on the deck that's gonna produce most of my power gems. That's the part of it that slows the deck down. So here we go again, and let's see the damage output. And again, for my 2 main card, the damage is 2.12 billion, 1.27 billion for the support card, which is much better than the previous combo. So you can use the event card, the support card, mix in other cards that's gonna create power gem. One of the thing that you could do is, if you've got, say, this card, if you've got the ultimate form or you've got the ultra rare, you could add it, because this Draconic Scoundrel will actually destroy all non-dart gems that's on the board and create 4 dart power gem 4s plus 1 additional power gem 4 for every 5 gem that's on the board. It cleanses all debuff as well, and it heals for 250% of self-recovery for every gem that's destroyed. So this is one option that you could actually throw into the mix with this combination. You could do, say, remove this one, but what you want to do, you want to actually use Draconic Scoundrel last. So we're gonna look, and then we're gonna go type, think it's a dragon, and there it is. So we'll use this one last. Let's go and see how well it performs. Let's see. Yeah, it's there. Go ahead. So realistically, we should produce a lot more power gems than we were producing before with this combination. Let's have a look. Okay, so you're gonna activate Master Collection card, the main card, the 2 event card, then the support card, then you're gonna activate Transform Trailblazer. There you go, almost a 4th bar of power gems. Let's see damage output. 229. The damage output has gone up a bit, not dramatically, but it has increased a bit more. So we're gonna kill this boss, and then we're gonna try it again. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna remove the Master Collection card that's on it, this one, Sheena, and I'm gonna add the ultra rare from the Draconic Scoundrel deck and see how well it would perform if it's got a bit more power gems on the board, because we should realistically generate a bit more power gem on the board. Oh no, I shouldn't have used that one first. It all went pear shape. All went pear shape. Never mind. Still done enough damage to take the boss out. So I'm gonna just swap this one. Gonna look for the ultra rare. There's the ultra rare. I like to play from right to left, so I'll switch it like that. Go ahead and use 3 keys. I like to play around in my decks. So here we go. Let's see the final product. Again, from right to left, activating Draconic Scoundrel. Oh, there we go. Just 2 gems, 2 power gems short of a full board of power gem. And the damage output is just a bit higher, not far higher. But if you didn't have, say, the ultimate form, but you did have the ultra rare, and you add the ultra rare to this deck, it would make the deck far more powerful with that damage boost. So those are some possible deck combination that you could try. So as always, hopefully the information was really worth it. So like, subscribe, and this is iOctane saying peace and enjoy the rest of the event. Bye for now, until the next video.